Woohoo! Welcome to Shifts and Giggles, where curiosity meets connection. I'm Beth Lees. I'm a lifelong spiritual explorer, passionista, and a lover of deep, meaningful conversations and the kind that sometimes elicit holy shift moments. This podcast is all about getting to know amazing people in a fun and intimate way through interesting questions that spark laughter, insight, and change your perspective. So get comfy, open your heart, and let's dive into some real soulful conversation. I am super excited to have as my guest today the fabulous, the wonderful, the amazing Tertius Bune. Um, Hold on. Here I am. I'm thrilled to talk to him. He's a man whose name sounds like it should come with a compass and a campfire story. Tertius is a Kripalu faculty member, certified transformational coach, mindful outdoor guide, and founder of Terrapin Guides. He's on a mission to help people reconnect with nature as a path to self-awareness, mind, body, soul alignment, and even life's big questions. I got lots of those for you, Tersh. Tertius brings expertise, humor, and heart to everything he does, whether he's leading slow hikes, mindful outdoor experiences, or transformational workshops. He invites people to slow down, tune in, and experience the world through all of their senses. So, lace up your hiking boots or pour another cup of coffee and join me in welcoming Tertius to Shifts and Giggles. So, what's sparking your sense of wonder these days, Tersh?
Well, first of all, thank you for that wonderfully warm intro. I'm humbled hearing all that, so thank you for that beautiful intro. Um, and what's sparking my interest these days? Lots of things, and it's right now. Mushroom foraging is really on the brain. Um,
Hunting for
yeah,
mushroom.
I have a mushroom on my shirt. It's
I love it.
the morel mushroom. One of my favorite mushrooms, but no, fall varietals of mushrooms, even though we're having a dry summer. So yeah, that's
What
sparking
does
my
that
interest.
mean if we're having a dry summer? If we had a dry summer, does that not bode well for
Yeah,
mushroom
so I
foraging?
mean, uh, part of what I do when I teach outdoors is that, and what I offer is that we are spiritual beings having an embodied experience, right? A lot of people have heard this term before. And when we take our bodies into the place where they were developed over millennia, right? We weren't developed in climate controlled, air conditioned rooms. We were developed out in the wild with all these elements and microbes and mycelium and everything supporting us. And so when we go out into nature, we're actually supporting our biology. And
I
that,
love that.
yeah, that's the way I break it down. And so one of the ways we can, gain greater self-awareness is just through observation. Observation brings presence. And so if you've been observing the summer the way I have, which is maybe you're a gardener like Beth, right? I know Beth, you like to garden, right?
I do.
Yeah, and I know most gardeners have been out there watering their gardens to and fro because there's been no rain. And so just observing even your own plants that you've cultivated gets you that one step closer. And so when I do it, when I'm foraging, I really can start to feel the land and you just realize how dry everything is, right? Um, let's see if we're looking at things seasonally right now. What's happening in, let's say, our trees and forests right now, which is a little early. Can you take a guess?
What's happening?
Yeah, what's happening? If you basic observation, you look at the trees, mainly, what's
They're
happening?
starting to change color
Yeah, how early is that?
pretty early.
Yeah, so they change early when they're struggling, and they did this last year. So it's it can be heartbreaking because you notice what's actually happening and what might be out of rhythm. But I always say we love what we'll protect what we love. And so it's better for people to come in, even if we don't experience mushrooms altogether, because they're being held back. Because there are no mushrooms without water. Mushrooms are just like us. They're 70% water. We're 70,
Wow.
yeah, we're 70% water as well. And so without water, you're not going to see a lot of mushrooms. But it doesn't mean you can't figure out all the little trail of breadcrumbs that will eventually lead you to that.
I love that. So how does being in nature help us answer life's big questions differently than being in a therapist's office or at a desk?
Uh, Simply put, that when we are in these sort of climate controlled, almost like a hyperbaric chamber, uh, which we call our offices and desks and computers, we're beginning to experience what's called sensory anesthesia. And so people talk about feeling disassociated, anxious, and a lot of these new sort of real plague, depression, what we hear in our young children, especially, is that their senses aren't activated. And so going out into nature and having your sense of smell be activated, and that we're no longer here, we have fascination expansion and our eyes open up and our pupils dilating different ways. And we're refocusing and we're problem solving just to get over some rocks or a stream or all these things that we did. Our whole sensory system becomes alive. So simply put, if you're looking to answer life's big questions, if our whole being is activated with all its senses and our brain is really moving, or because it's taking in more of the natural world in which it was developed, I believe creative thought is more present and easily accessible.
Beautiful. So how did you get here?
I got here through my own journey. I'm actually staring at the woods where I had a big awakening. I,
Wow.
yeah, I'm very special little slice of woods. If you've ever been up in Paterson, New York, there's a great little hiking system around Wonder Lake. So if you're looking around Wonder Lake,
Yeah.
for a new hike in the area, Wonder Lake is a great one, and it's right above the Great Swamp in Paterson, New York, which is also really beautiful land. We have one of the largest swamps in the Northeast. It's 60 miles long.
Wow.
Yeah, it runs most of the Putnam up 22 along the Putnam Valley. So we have lots of natural phenomena, which people don't really think. They want to go to Yosemite and other places like that. But it's really beautiful, right? So when I was 35, I realized I was deeply unhappy, and I was in a career that I was told I was good at when I was young, but I wasn't really deeply connected to it.
Mm.
And I wasn't making forward. It was commercial photography, and I wasn't making forward motion in it in the way I thought I was, but it was more like a disconnect. I was deeply unhappy. I was treating my body badly. I was a cigarette smoker. I was I was caught up in a fast-paced city life, too much drinking, staying up too late, bad behaviors generally. So
Bad behaviors.
behaviors generally. And so I stopped what I was doing. I quit smoking, and I started wanting to get back to I was a very physical child. I was an athlete, and I asked myself a simple question during these times: when was the last time I was truly happy? And it was,
That's a great question for
yeah,
anybody to ask
yeah, and it
themselves.
was, this is what led me to coaching. Is I was asking myself these questions, and instead of like being angry and frustrated at them, I slowed down and I actually tried to answer them. And one of the answers that came to me was I was a lot more active and physically embodied with snowboarding, hiking, and also the outdoors. And so I made a commitment to myself to be in the outdoors more. And I made a commitment to connect my physical activity and my body care to something that meant something to me, which is snowboarding. So whenever I'm thinking about like not doing something, I think you're gonna want to do this when you step on your snowboard. You're gonna want to feel your legs did those presses at the gym, because if you don't, you're gonna feel it when you snowboard. So it's just that extra motivator that keeps me going. Um, and I was running in these hills, and I was a child who comes from a therapy family. My family has gone through lots of different therapeutic journeys. I was first introduced to therapy when I was 14.
Wow.
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah, which is beautiful, and it did a lot for me and got me through high school and got me through some rough times there. And just being a very angsty child. Um, But I was running through the woods up here and I was feeling, I was actually, I would put it like this. I always had a conceptual understanding of what my hangups were. Like I knew I came from an alcoholic family. I knew those tendencies were handed down to me. I knew I was hyper vigilant at the same time being ADD. Like I knew all the things, but I was like, but my, excuse me, my behavior doesn't change and the feeling inside of me is not changing. So I'm like,
Right.
how can I do all this work therapeutically, conceptually understand what I'm doing and not feel any different? And so I was running through the woods and I had this light bulb go off and I was like, I feel different.
Wow.
I was like, I actually feel different and I can see my problems, or quote unquote problems, life lessons. Um, and I know how I've attached to them, but in that present moment, it's like I'm not attached to them and I feel energy. And I said, it's because you're moving. And it's because you're thinking about those things and trying to like metaphorically move through them. I was running up and thinking about it. So I was like, I'm running through them. And so I was shifting energetically what I was, the conceptual, idea of what being codependent was, what I had learned in therapy about how I acted in relationships, how I treated myself. And I was moving and thinking, and I was breaking what I believe to be breaking energetic barriers, like blocks that I had put up with myself. It sounds crazy, but it's the truth. And if people talk about being visionaries, I had a vision in my brain, and it looked like a combination of hieroglyphics meets a cave carving, and it was a
Uh-huh.
stone emblem in my brain. It was a triangle. And it had circles, and it was like it lit up in flames and went around like this, and it lit up in my brain. And it's like, lit
Wow.
up for a brief second, and it looked like something out of Indiana Jones or something. It was weird. And people talk about, this is going weird, but alien hieroglyphic was this link of mind, body, and soul. It's in the soul in my brain. I call it the three-dimensional triptych.
Oh, is that what your logo is?
That's what my logo
I
is.
love that.
Yeah, so it's always been this moment where, and it stopped me running instantly. It was like, what did I just see? And um, if it was like a flash in the pan, and I didn't know if I still don't know if I created it, if it was like a creative moment in my brain, or I was just feeling good and something. It was inspiration. It's just something. I don't claim to know where it came from, if it was from within me or from outside of me, but it was, wow, that just sort of appeared in my cerebral cortex for a second.
Wow.
Wow. And so I knew at that moment that I was like, oh, I hadn't been taking my healing and therapeutic journey on this three-dimensional process. And so I had been looking into coaching in those moments, and it hit me. And I've been told for years I should be a therapist. I used to say I don't want to sit in a room and talk about people's problems.
Right.
And now the goal has always been, let's go outside, talk about what's possible. And so that's why coaching kind of stepped in, because it's more based in curiosity, non-judgment, empowerment, and thinking about what's possible. Obviously, you need to have done a lot of work if you're going to be coached. But not to say that you still can't do really powerful healing work. So, so I use lots of different modalities now. That internal family systems is a big one.
I
And
love IFS work. It's very powerful.
it's very powerful, right? And I think it's the most helpful work I've done.
So what does it look like to work with you out in nature?
It looks like, one, we're outside. One, we spend some time moving. Uh, Usually, I like to get somebody moving slightly, uh, and then we settle into a place that kind of calls to them. And we have a time frame. And when I only ever coach somebody for about 20, 25 minutes, I try and find what's known as like the presenting agenda, and that's the client has to give that. And usually with the right kind of questioning, a deeper agenda underneath that can be kind of delineated. And if you can keep in that space and really open that up, that's where the transformational agenda forms. And so usually somewhere in the deeper, somewhere between the agenda showing up and the deeper showing up, we start moving again. And that can be like, if you've done IFS work, that means like you embody the part you're speaking from. You don't just talk about it. You're going to embody it, and talk about it, and get your body up and moving. And there's a physical act, and sometimes it's just total intuition based. I could tell you, yeah, I see this tree. The tree is the journey between now and the last 5 years of your life. Let's walk to that tree and then build little milestones out of twigs and rocks and be like, this represents this and this represents this. And so it's like, I get people's hands in the dirt, get them moving, them talking and grabbing things
And interacting with nature.
interacting. And usually that's a good way of keeping the hemispheres of the brain, like you're not in one area too much, because you don't want somebody going into the overthinking space. So if I see that, I'll get them digging around at something and just holding them back, inviting them to find something that they're called to, so we stay embodied. Start feeling our decisions rather than overthinking.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's, and then once those have closed, there's usually a little more time to get back to the car or something, and there can be a, you know, a co-created, or maybe the client creates it like a, it's usually like some sort of metaphorical journey back to the car. Just allowing yourself to be what you need. You could transform between everything you've done in the last, and usually coaching's for me end up in 90 minutes because we're moving through nature. Coaching's only half an hour, but we usually walk. And I like to leave a little extra time so you get a little exercise, get a little meditation, a little bit of slowness.
Nice.
Yeah, and I always incorporate parts of the Kripalu mindful outdoor leadership training as well.
What's that all about?
There's a lot. So there's it's a 9-part system, and there's a way of just recognizing where you're at, and you know, doing a little bit of movement, warm up, a little bit of meditation, just a centering, and then moving in silence from yourself, just to be in silence, moving.
That is so powerful.
The gift of silence. In a noisy world, the gift of silence is really important. I haven't done my first full silent retreat yet, but I'm beginning to see why it's always been.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we invite everything. If you come to Kripalu, almost every event, everything you'll do in our schedule has an aspect of silence. We call it social silence. And there's
There's
something
something very powerful about being in silence with other people too, and in nature, obviously.
yeah. And so then we have moments to sort of let's call it expanding the senses. And so we'll pause the hike and just take a breath together, you know, unifying breath together. And then so usually the offering is like, what are you noticing? What sense are you pulled in by it? Are you smelling it? And also if something's coming up, what is that? What is that thing? Nature can tease those things apart for us. I see it like I don't know, like right now we're seeing all the seeds. Like if you get the seeds of milkweed right now and you sort of pull them apart, you know, and like all the little seeds start to fly apart.
Fly, yeah.
So like nature helps us have that. It'll break apart and tease whatever's happening. And good coaching and good questioning and good curiosity can help the expansion. So
Beautiful. And so there's so much potential and magic in that spaciousness.
yeah. And so right now, if I was having a client who's like, I don't know what I want to talk about, I might be like, there's some milkweed. Let's pull it apart and like watch the seed pod fly around us. You know, and be like, did that help? Sometimes it's like, no, you seem crazy.
No, sorry,
some people
Turch,
are
that
like,
didn't help at all.
Yeah, that didn't help at all. But some people are like, wow, that really helped. You know, and actually, I want to talk about this. The big goal, though, Beth, is to do this in community. The strongest work I think is done in community, And if we're thinking about the way we were as hunter-gatherers, we were all in tribe. I mean, like you built what we
Right.
call Tribe TLC. And I think that something we do when we're at the lunches or the meetings or the happy hours, and when people get to stand up and say, "This is who I am," that's a really, really powerful act. And so,
And to be witnessed.
and to be witnessed, exactly. And so, took the words right out of my mouth. And so, if we can build a community, and this is what I hope to do after college, is to build an outdoor empowerment. And the coaching that you will do as an individual will be done in community with people holding silence, but also uplifting the space energy and teaching people how to hold space, be silent, and also like hold those people in love, support, and literally allow their vulnerability to open up like that seed pod. Even if some of the stuff I did in my coaching and training, I never thought I would say, but I believe it was because I was surrounded by loving people who were fully present with me, and so uplifting that space to be as healing and loving as possible. Thing I don't want to do my therapy and it feels right to me.
Yeah.
Feels really awkward at first, but now just like I'm not getting the juice out of this lemon that I could be at 15 other people doing it. And then I get to watch them do it. And their lessons and their healing, reflects upon me and how I'm not even doing quote unquote my work, but I'm watching them do theirs. And it's just like that exchange starts happening. And that's when, my training would say that's when transformational space opens. And that's when real healing and energetics and as a Reiki master, like that's when things really start to shift. And that's when I felt it. So
It's magical.
it's magical. It's beautiful.
Better than mushrooms, magical mushrooms.
Don't I always say life is psychedelic enough. If you really slow down enough, it is. Life is psychedelic enough. And the human condition, existence, and relationships that we build are very, very powerful. So yeah, that's what was the original question?
Who the hell knows?
So yeah,
What's
what?
one lesson that nature's taught you that you think most people are missing?
That I'm not alone.
Mm.
That I used to separate myself from the world a lot. And if you're feeling depressed or anxious or separate from the world, uh, and that you can't find your tribe, that you can't find your people, that nature's there, and that is your community. And all North American native cultures believed that the spirit world is all around us. We're reincarnated as different trees, our grandparents, and that everything rocks and all of it are family. And so if you can walk into the woods and know that you're amongst family, you're never truly alone. And so that's
Never truly alone.
never truly alone. And so when I walk into the woods now, especially my woods, um, if if you you know if you want to come and connect to the woods in Kripalu coming up in October, I've got my workshop. And I'll tell you some stories that I built my connection with my woods and also the land of Kripalu. It's like um I don't know, it's like a cable. It's like this channel. And now when I walk into my woods, uh it's like this breath of fresh air. And the other week when we got that really nice, it was like a Thursday, rain all day. And it wasn't a heavy rain. It wasn't this really freakish, like torrential stuff that'll happen. There's just this nice, steady soaking when I was out in the woods that day. Just watching the wind. It's like giving your friend a drink of water at the top of a bit. It's just felt so good to watch all my friends get what they needed. And yeah, we're not alone. We're not alone. There's so much I don't understand about what's happening today. And I think that there's a doorway to what's after this in the outdoors. And this is where the idea of spirit guides and animal medicine comes into play. But that happens to me all the time. Different animals.
That's so cool.
Yeah, different animals, elements, all of it happen. So yeah, the more time you spend out there, the more you'll find your own, you know. I mean, I would say, like, do you have a version of that? Like, what has nature taught you?
Nature has taught me that, yeah, I mean, I used to always go into the woods. I had a pretty traumatic childhood, and when things were really bad, I would go out into the woods and just sit on a rock or move around, follow the path in front of me, if even if there didn't seem to be a path. Uh, I just always felt more connected to something bigger than myself out there.
Beautiful. Yeah, something bigger than this. Uh, yeah, and that's the other thing. I think I've always been a deeply spiritual person, and I grind with the secular religions in this world. They don't work for me. Um, but when I'm outside and I see nature, what it can do for people, what it's done for me, it's so apparent that there's something greater happening out there. And we connect and slow down. It's really nice it's kind of weird that I'm here and it's my sister's wedding week and I'm staying over this week. And I'm looking at the hill where I had that vision. It's like kind of weird.
That's so wild.
Happening like this, and we've got the big wall of green in front of me, and the lake's just up. I can't see the lake, but I know it's fine. It's just so nice that if my eyes are up, it's because I'm just like letting all that
Yeah,
green chlorophyll wash over me as I'm talking about this.
that's really cool.
Yeah, so weird.
So tell me about this program that you have up at Kripalu. You're doing a workshop up there.
So October 7th through 10th, 2025, I'm running what I call mindful mushroom foraging. For the last year, I've been running the 90-minute R&R mushroom. It's just mushroom ID and mushroom hunting, and learning the ecology behind mushrooms, how they grow, how the mycelium network supports the forest, and really about tree identification. To become a great mushroom hunter, you have to be a great tree hunter.
Aha.
Save your eyes and also save your neck because you can't look down. And also this really fun way of mushrooms. You think of these tiny little things, especially like the morel in the spring. Can't search the entire forest. I tried when I first started and I almost broke my neck and my legs doing it. It was during COVID. And so we had a lot of time. So that's really when I got into it. But great tree ID and learning the other plants that associate with it is, you're gaining presence through just basic observation. And for me, I have a very fast moving brain. And since I've learned more about the ecology of what's in our woods around here, I know that like that's a red oak and that's a sugar maple and that's Norwegian maple and that's this and and this is a dying elm tree. And so I've realized that for years I was walking through the woods being curious about everything and not knowing. And now I've given my brain enough information to not chatter at me. So we call this at Kripalu the wall of green. So we bust through the wall of green, give your brain enough information to calm down, and then just walk through the woods with open observation. And so we do this with hunting the maitake mushroom. And so the maitake mushroom, I'll give a little preview. It's connected to the oak trees. And so if you would start just focusing in on oak trees and let them guide your sort of curiosity, you have to be prepared to walk through off trail, and with the right, protection for ticks and other things. You may bump into a very large white-top tree.
You may
You
bump it.
may, and when you do it, you may be in a state where if you've really like given your brain and your body and like the right amount of slowing down. So we're merging in the workshop the mindful outdoor experience with mushroom therapy. So we're encouraged to really, really slow down because mushrooms are really mysterious, right? Everybody talks about them. Yeah, magic mushroom or just in general that they pop up overnight.
They do. They pop up like
Yeah,
like that.
really,
Wait, that wasn't there
yeah.
yesterday.
And so we talk about uh, circadian time. We call this Earth time, right? And we're not in Earth time as humans right now. We're in phone time. We're like way, way up here. And our parasympathetic nervous system basically doesn't, we're just in sympathetic nervous system all the time, all the time. Every time your phone dings, every time you get an email. And so the mindful outdoor experience of olives designed to help you get slowed down back into the heart space, back into like the creative. I always get this mixed up. Is it left or right?
Is it what?
Left or right brain? Which one's like the more sympathetic, curious, creative brain? Left or right?
The
The
right
left.
brain.
The
Right
right
brain.
brain. The right brain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I was going so yeah, more in the right brain space, more in creative, like slowed down solutions. And then, give you the right mushroom, clues. And there's something that happens to me when I'm mushroom hunting where when I'm slowed down enough and when that mushroom, I'm hunting it, but there's this thing like, is it presenting itself to you?
Yeah, is the mushroom finding you or are you finding the
Finding the
mushroom?
mushroom, exactly. And when that happens, you may have said something. I've had things go on in my day or in months or in the years leading up to me and that mushroom finding each other that there's a communication that comes through. And it can be usually humorous, which is very fun.
Oh, I
And
love that.
yeah, and so I'll tell more stories if we have more time, and maybe I'll tell one at the next TLC when I'm out at lunch or something. But I'll definitely tell something in the workshop where there's no way that was a coincidence, or where so many times where I'm over focused on the mushroom and myopically focused and not using the big open spatial awareness, and I give up and burn myself out, and I go out and turn it around, and like 10 minutes later, like I walk right into a mushroom and I'm not thinking about it anymore. It's like, haha, now I'm here. I'm ready to show you. And so, yeah, it happens all the time like that, where it's just path of least resistance. Also, that sense of I'm not alone has shown up at
Mm.
big vulnerable points in my life, around having a child, um, around some loss that I had in 2020 with my brother-in-law, where it's something. And I invite everybody to do this, not just with mushrooms. Build a practice of going into it. 15 minutes a day, 2 hours a week is the sort of inflection point.
Ideal time.
Yeah, minimum. Like if you can get yourself 2 hours a week and start building a relationship, don't be afraid to go to the same place again and again. And notice what happens when your moments of your life are delivered to you within that. The woods will be there for you in a way. I think it's speaking very loud. The earth is speaking, right? Are we listening? But
Right.
we have to build the practice of being there. One of the ways that keeps me coming back is foraging. One of the ways that keeps me back is winter hiking. One of the ways that keeps me coming back is just normal hiking. And now the new one is the mindful outdoor experience, where I go into the woods and I'm there to be silent, and I'm actually not there to ID them. The idea is just to be open and ready to see, and actually I have to fight being like, what is that? And maybe I should look that up. What's that bird called? Should I get my learning out? And all those things, just to be like, no, I'm an open vessel to see the sunlight and the sounds, and I'll make another time where I come hike and I do those things. So
That's really cool. So the 2 hours a week
yeah.
doesn't have to be all at one time. It can be spread out.
Mhm. Yeah, so one of the things also, if you have a little slice of nature, it doesn't have to be a lot. I have an acre, which is quite a lot. You could have a quarter or an eighth of an acre. Is to first thing in the morning is we call sit spot practice, and this is to go out on your land. Maybe you get a cup of tea or your cup of coffee, no phones, and 15 minutes of sitting on the ground and just having your eyes up and your ears open and your heart open and just observing what comes to you. Mine is luckily enough, I'm right on a game trail which goes through into an Audubon society on my property. And so this year we have a doe who likes to give birth on my property. Believe it,
Oh, wow.
she gave birth last year, and she sits down in my practice area and she starts licking herself. And I always knew that was a sign. It's for the puppy give birth, child start cleaning themselves for the process. And this year, this morning, two little babies popped up. So
Wow.
there are these two baby fawns getting near from the mother recently. That's when we have an owl that's will start nesting on our property in the winter because of the way the sun arcs through our trees. It likes to get the warmth and it fluffs itself up and sits in one of these trees. And it'll be fall when they turn to we have some crows that like to mess with some of the larger birds. And
They're
just
little
I
mischief
get to
makers.
build these relationships with these wild animals. And it's wild.
It's wild,
It's
literally.
wild. But they feel, and the owl's called Mr. Hootie. We didn't name the fawns this year. We didn't name the fawn. Obviously, Atticus called it Bambi last year. So we didn't name them this year. There's been a lot of travel this year. Anyways, yeah, if you can do sit spot, that's a really powerful practice. 15 minutes is minimal. 45 minutes is really, you'd be surprised.
Optimal.
Optimal. And what happens when you slow down, think your heart rate slows down, mine does. And there's beginning to be proof that trees have put out low vibration frequency. Like I think it's less than a hertz, maybe around 1 hertz. And so one of the bits of science that I had to pull in is I used to work at an outpatient recovery with young children. They do a lot of dialectical behavioral therapy. We talk about not being right now with children. There's a lot of anxiety and sharing themselves, especially with their parents. And what we talk about is co-regulating. And so when we share, and to bring it back to what happens in therapy, is we're co-regulating with each other. And so our nervous systems do respond to each other. So this is, I call it like the emotional dance floor. The first person to become vulnerable will follow suit. It's like the first person who starts dancing will pull everybody. So this happens as well when we're outdoors because of the low frequency that trees are putting out. If you've studied forest being, you're beginning to study the low frequency hertz that are coming from all the plants. And so that's helping our nervous system co-regulate. So we're co-regulating the forest. And what will happen is your brain waves will start moving in from beta to theta. And that's really where healings, when we're looking at people being wired up all the therapy, it's like that theta state, and that's where meditation happens, that's where REM sleep is happening. And this is one way where it's like there is science out there. It's not just all mysticism. It's
Right.
real science that's it has to do, I believe, what our bodies were developed out there. So of course we can respond better. So sit spot for 15 minutes a day. and I'll plug this one. You start doing this practice. And if you really do it and try and slow your brain down and keep the phone out of your hand, try not to check the emails and really do it. There'll be a moment when you'll settle in. And, as we walk through nature, it's just like we would if we were walking in water. We have a zone of disturbance, right? And it's rippling off us,
Right.
both physically, energetically, mentally, like those brain waves. And when we slow down and sit down for sit spot and actually hit that slow down moment, the forest will return to baseline. And I've had squirrels that run down trees and look at me, and birds get really close to me. And in that moment, there's like this, I don't know, everything smooths out. That's the best way I can put it. Step and everything smooths out, and the thinking will smooth out too. And I believe that baseline, and this is only belief, this isn't backed by science, like I was just talking. But I believe when we hit baseline, what's also happening internally with us is that we're beginning to hit that thing. And it's like, oh. And at that moment, I don't want to think about anything. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to question anything. I just want to sit there and feel how really that feels. It's just like I'm no longer trying to solve anything. That's that moment of full of nature absorption, letting the wind penetrate, sun penetrate, air, all this
Wow.
wonderful living being.
Who doesn't want to just be there?
And yeah, it's there for us. It's there for us at
Exactly.
all moments. Like I have to remind myself of this all the time. Freaking go do your work. Just go do it. It's right there. It's sitting in 15 minutes. You'll feel better. And I have to
Yeah.
remind myself.
It's free,
It's free.
available.
We live in Fairfield in Westchester County, which has some of the most beautiful protected preserves in the world that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
My wife's from Atlanta, Georgia. Trying to get some green space when we used to visit family down there was depressing.
Wow.
We live in a wonderfully protected place, and there's so many fun little preserves all over Fairfield.
Yeah, it could be hunting for preserves for
Oh
crying
yeah,
out
yeah.
loud.
There's one near you. It's got beautiful, wonderful things waiting for you to witness. So,
Yeah.
and if
Well, woohoo.
you find one that you like, tell me about it. So I'll come walk it with you.
Okay. That sounds like a challenge.
More time outside. That's the challenge.
That is the challenge for sure. So if people want to find you and learn more about how they can take your mushroom foraging workshop or work with you in nature, where's
So
the place?
you can always find me on the Kripalu website, which is kripalu.org. If you type in mindful mushroom in the search engine, I'll come right up, and my bio is there as well. My email is tertiusb@kripalu.org. And I will be having some hikes with the Lewisboro Land Trust. I do stuff with them.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, and I want to do I'm gonna call them, but I might just do my own thing and I'll put it up on the directory in the Facebook. In a couple of weeks, I'm gonna do a little preview to the workshop that I do at Kripalu here.
Oh, awesome.
Right before the workshop. So anybody wants to learn about my talkies, I'll be running it near the Pound Ridge Reservation. Uh,
Awesome.
and I'm gonna announce that probably next week, but it'll be at the end of September.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and so that'll be like kind of probably a combination. We'll see if I can get it on Lewisboro Land Trust at the same time, but it might just be like a free TLC of
Yeah.
people to come walk in the woods.
Wonderful.
I'll try and make it a Saturday for everybody, so I'm not competing with the week. But yeah, maybe the second to last or last week in September.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Tertius.
Thank you, Beth. This was
It's
great.
always, you're just so interesting. You're full of wisdom and wonder.
Oh, just taking it one day at a time and just like little bits of information just observing and
It's awesome. Thank you so much, Tertius.
thank you. All right.
Everybody, enjoy the rest of your day and tune in for the next episode.
Awesome.